Action. Hey, Patrick here. Hope you're doing great. I'm a PhD student at Oxford, and since it's super hot right now, I thought it's time to talk about what you can do over the summer break. So in this video, I want to share my very exciting summer lineup and also what I did in the previous summers. Let's go. Let's start with what you can do at home right now. Join OnlyFans.
Wait, what?
Oh, I was not meant to say that? Okay, let's just cut this out later. So the first time I picked up programming was in the summer of 2018, and it was just before I started my master's program, and the reason being, the program had a big focus on computational techniques, and so I needed to acquire that skill. Also, this was right after I finished my internship in investment banking, so there was not a lot of time between the end of the internship and then the start of the master's program. But, nevertheless, I picked up programming through trial and error and working on projects. And so the main resources that I used were mainly watching YouTube videos. I think they're excellent, they're for free. And the one channel that I still watch today is called Corey Schaefer. And then I use other various online resources as well. But when classes started in autumn time, I was able to code just fine. After my master's, I worked in investment banking where I didn't use any programming at all. So when I started my PhD, there was quite a lot of catching up to do. And these days, I mainly use textbooks and Coursera. Coursera I prefer over other platforms just because you have much better assessment and teaching styles, but maybe more on this one in the future. I started reading books properly in the summer of 2020. I know, just don't judge me. I read a couple of books here and there over the years, but I never really got into it. Maybe it's a combination of not finding the right books, not the right genre. I was never really giving it a go. But in the summer of 2020, things changed. I picked up Natural Causes, which is a medical memoir of a guy who worked as a forensic pathologist, who basically just tries to identify why and how people have died. And so if you watch the Netflix series Mindhunter, then this perfect is literally made for you because it's a blend of true crime and real detective work. Anyways, this got me really hooked to the point where I literally devoured an additional 8 of these medical memoirs and read a couple of other books as well, started writing blogs about my thoughts of key themes and topics that were mentioned in this book. That's now as part of the Matrix of Thoughts blogs. You can read it if you want, it's for free and link in the description. But honestly, game changer. If you're still in school, the summer break is an excellent time for you to pick an area that you want to dive deep into. So if you miss school, well then here's more. So this summer will be the first time I go to a summer school. This year I'm going to the so-called Oxford Machine Learning Summer School. So it's 1 week of pre-reading followed by 2 weeks of full day studies of machine learning fundamentals, the theory, the maths and the applications, etc. For me, courses like these are of massive benefit just because I'll be using a lot of machine learning throughout my PhD journey. And so following a structured curriculum like this summer school is exactly what I need. The same goes for you. If you want to have a couple of weeks of extra classes in the summer dedicated to an area of your interest, then maybe check out a summer school. The summer is also the best time to do work and earn some money. Unless you have diamond hands and you just buy meme stonks. Apes strong together. A couple of years ago, I worked as a waiter as part of a catering company. Now, in normal situations, a waiter will be typically employed to one dedicated restaurant or bar, but when you work as part of a catering company, it's a little bit different. You typically work at different locations and often it's event-based. So that means that most places that I worked at were very big venues or big events. And so I actually went to the Wembley Stadium, for example, a total number of 4 times. And I worked at a bar for those 4 times that was stationed opposite of the main stage. So on the other side of the stadium, but I had perfect view to the main stage. So I literally got paid to go to a concert. I mean, how cool is that? I mean, and not to flex or anything, but I saw Coldplay 3 times and I went to the 2016 Summertime Ball Capital, where I saw people like Ariana Grande, will.i.am, Florida, Little Mix, etc. So I worked at the Natural History Museum in London once for a fundraising event. And so this took place right in the main entrance hall where you, in the middle, have this huge dinosaur skeleton nicknamed Dippy. And there's not a lot of space in the main entrance hall anyways, plus you had this huge dinosaur right in the middle. And so when we walked around the tables, we had really close physical interactions with the celebrities. So, people like One Directions, etc., they were present. So cool. But the next event was probably the coolest out of all of them. So I worked at the US Ambassador's residence in Regent's Park in London. Now, this was for a really big celebration party. It was completely packed. There was a live band performing as well. And towards the evening, I heard that Brian Cox and Benedict Cumberbatch were going to be present at the event. Now, I knew that celebrities were going to be there anyways, but I was fanboying when I heard about this news. And so us waiters basically just walked around the entire backyard. It's huge, it's basically like an entire field. And we walked around the backyard with trays of canapes and drinks to serve the guests. But when I heard about this news, I wanted to make sure that I explored as much of the real estate as possible just so I can find the faces of Brian and Benny. I mean, we're basically best friends at this point, so I think calling them by their first name is appropriate. They just don't know it yet. But when I saw them, I served them, I was half a meter in front of them, and that just made my day. So if you have the chance to work with a catering company, just for one summer, just try it out. It could be one of the best work experiences you'll ever have as a student. If you have the opportunity to spend the summer abroad, do it. In my case, I managed to combine both work and play, which I think is the best combo you can get.
Don't scream! Oh, don't even scream me.
I went to Singapore for an internship in the summer of 2016, and that was right after I finished my first year at uni. And that summer was absolutely crazy because I spent most of the summer working as a waiter, working double shifts, just so that I have enough money to spend it when I was in Singapore. I worked in a startup within the corporate communications industry, and what made this work very interesting was that it was in a very fast-paced environment. Now I know that every company these days will probably say something along the lines of, we work in a super fast-paced environment. But this actually was. The guy who was running this startup, he was physically very tall. And so just for point of reference, I'm 184 centimeters tall, but when I had to look him in the eyes, I physically had to tilt my head up just to look at him. And he just had this flare of confidence. Whenever he talked, whenever he walked, it was just so fascinating. Literally, I was just like, in this industry, you are in the middle of large corporations and news outlets, meaning that I had the opportunity to go behind the scenes of live news studios several times. And I feel that if you have the chance to work in something that's completely outside of what you're doing right now, or what you would like to do in the future, honestly, give this a shot. It might be an excellent experience. So if you can have this experience in another country where you can also travel to other nearby countries on the weekends like I did, to Vietnam and Hong Kong whilst I was working in Singapore, this is honestly the best of both worlds. That's it for today. Thanks so much for watching. I really do appreciate it. I love you guys, and I'll see you in the next one.